Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Wednesday's Game Hump. We have a panel of game huggers this week that all just happen to have one thing in common. That's right, they're all Star Wars nerds. I would like everyone to welcome, along with all of our grouper game huggers this week, we've got Boba Fett. And he is so cool, he spells Fett with a PH. That's Fett. We've also got John Lester, Gamester81, or you can call him Hothster81. We've got Ryan. He cuddles with those sweet little Ewoks. We've got Ryan, may the Schwartzman be with you. And we've got, whatever this guy's name is, Zach Haschenberger. Welcome, everyone.
No Star Wars pun? I'm disappointed.
I did have a couple, but I figured it was, I don't know. I ran out of them, Zach. I'm sorry. But hey, a couple of you guys are brand new to the show, so if Zach and Ryan want to give little blurbs about themselves, just a mini little introduction, doesn't have to be a life story, but just some kind of a, hey, here's what I do. Let's start with Ryan.
Which Ryan? There's two Ryans.
Well, Ryan, the other Ryan has been on before.
Oh, so I'm the new one.
You're the newbie.
I would call you Ryan 2, if that's all right.
I'm Schwartzman. My last name is Ford, you know?
Schwartz. Okay. May the Schwartz be with you. Go for it.
May the Schwartz be with you. Anyways, well, I've been a Star Wars nerd since all I can remember. I have a nice little tattoo of Star Wars. That's, you know, Mandalorian thing, but it also has a little Klingon in there, so it's my Star Trek roots in there. I love the dark side, love the Empire. Yeah, that's right, one of those guys. I love playing Star Wars role-playing game, X-Wing, Imperial Assault, and I just recently got a PS4, so I'm playing Battlefront.
Nice. You did get the PS4 finally.
I did get a PS4, Woo! And I've been known to do the Trivial Pursuit and be the only one to play the game.
Nice.
Did you get the Star Wars PS4 bundle?
Yeah, I got the bundle.
Nice.
So you have like the Vader controller and the fancy skin on the PS4?
No, I'm too cheap for that. I just got a regular.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right on.
Okay, Zach, how about you? Where are you from? How old are you? What's your age? What's your shoe size? Tell me these things.
Shoe size is 14. I don't know why you needed to know that, but
ladies.
That's right. If you love the sweet sound of my voice, shoe size is 14. No, I'm a Star Wars fan since, again, as long as I can remember, which, granted, isn't that long ago, but my dad got me into the original trilogy when I was 3 years old in 1995. It was the big wave of when they brought back all of the original trilogy toys, and it was basically Lucas's little dip into the water to see, hey, is this still viable? And then they came out with the special editions, which I saw in the theaters, which was just a dream come true for me at, 5 years old or whatever it was. And then, of course, the prequels came out, and I was 7 years old when Episode 1 hit. So I pretty much have I consider myself an original trilogy fan, but there is not a single part of me that doesn't like Star Wars, like in any of its forms. I will find good things about any of the movies to talk about. So that's my perspective as a fan. I've played a lot of the games. I've read a lot of the books. I consider myself an aficionado, which is why I wanted to get on this show with you guys and talk a little wars before we celebrate tomorrow.
Nice. So you are is everyone gonna go see the movie tomorrow? Like, as in, it's like in 24 hours?
7 o'clock.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
I'm seeing it at 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Me too.
Nice.
Yep,
Very
same
cool.
here. I've taken the whole day off of work to mentally prepare for
What?
Yeah.
When are you guys planning to line up? That's the $1 million question, right?
I don't get off of work until 5 tomorrow afternoon, so I've got to go pick somebody up, and then I will be in line, quote unquote, probably at like 5:45. But honestly, to me, it's not really about that. It's more about being a part of that experience, because I have another set of tickets for the 3D showing at 10:40.
Nice.
So I'm gonna watch it like a million times. So I the first time, it's more about just being there when it's there with everybody else, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Nice. So, okay. I got my tickets too. I've got tickets to the Cosmo. We're going to go see that on Friday night. So I'm missing out. I'm going to be a day behind. I swear to God, if anybody spoils it for me,
Stay off social media.
I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
So, yes. Now that we're going into this movie, we're going to episode 7. Have any of you guys done any preparations as far as like watching all of the originals? Have you been able to get through them? Like John, I don't know if you were trying to do what I know a couple of my other friends were trying to do, is watch every single one from episode 1 to 6.
Mm-hmm. I've watched the prequels not too long ago, but what I'm doing now is I'm actually listening to, I don't know if you guys heard the radio drama or not, but when I'm driving like in my car, I'll listen to the radio drama, and it's actually really good.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got like Mark Hamill, it's got Anthony Daniels. It's like A New Hope, for example. It's instead of like being like 2.5 hours, the movie, or 2 hours, it's actually like 4 hours, and they expand it out, and they go into the whole like the full hour even before like the opening scene of the New Hope, where it has the Star Destroyer. It actually talks about like Luke on Tatooine with Biggs and going through like Beggar's Canyon and goes like Leia goes to like Alderaan and talks to her dad, and it's like crazy like backstory. So I've been listening to those, which is highly recommended. You guys do that.
Yeah, the first quarter of those radio dramas is entirely original, like new content to those radio dramas, and it is stellar.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. Did they do that with all of the Star Wars movies?
All first episode 4, 5, and 6.
Oh my God! I never heard of this. That's amazing.
And believe it or not, they were broadcast on NPR of all places.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the best places to broadcast anything. So, myself, my kids and I, we were watching Return of the Jedi recently, and then tonight I've actually got, you can see in the background, but I've got the Star Wars laser.
That's the best way to see it.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's really, really pretty. The sound is amazing.
Show you guys, this is what the radio drama case looks like.
Dude, that is amazing.
It's like, how many CDs is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15 CDs with 2 episodes on each CD, so 30 episodes. Each episode's a half hour.
Wow.
Damn, that's a lot.
You do a lot. Yeah, you do the math. It's pretty incredible. So I've been doing that, and definitely like worth it while you're driving, because it just gets you in the mood for Star Wars. I don't think I'm going to sleep tonight, honestly.
So, is that like similar to like an audiobook version of it, or is it just totally like a radio drama?
Dude, it's got like it's not like someone reading the story. It's like they're actually playing the roles of the moves. There's audio, the sound effects, the movie, like the music. It's like you were like if you were like listening to the movie.
Oh my God, I have got to check that out. That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask it, and I'll just start right from the beginning. I'm going to start with Bo on this one. Any theories, and I don't want anybody to spoil anything. No spoilers, nothing that you've read online, nothing like that, but any theories going into this movie that we're about to see, Episode 7? Just any ideas at all or theories that you guys have?
There's going to be a hero or somebody dying. So one of the big taglines of Episode 7 was "Everything old is new again," and they're following. They're going to follow in the footsteps of Episode 4, pretty much to reintroduce it to the current genre of people and play on the nostalgia of everybody who's been waiting for 32 years to find out what Luke was going to do after the events of Return of the Jedi. Because clearly there was nothing in Episode 1, 2, and 3 about that.
Sure.
Plus, in some of the trailers and teasers, you see Rey is doubled over a body of somebody and crying profusely. My personal opinion is I think that is Han, judging by the way the coat looks and just the garb in general. And Han was always that ruffian type of shoot first, ask questions later type of smuggler guy. So
that's pretty sad.
Harrison Ford's always talked about like wanting to die in the movie, like in a martyr kind of fashion. He's mentioned that before. Even before Episode 7 was announced, he's like, if I do come back to Star Wars, I want to like die in it and be like a hero. So it's possible.
And that goes all the way back to Return of the Jedi, because after Empire Strikes Back, he was frozen carbonite, and of course in between Empire and Jedi, he made Indiana Jones. So Harrison sort of wanted to distance himself from Star Wars a bit, but George wanted him back, so George made him come back. But he was all about being killed off by being put in carbonite, and in Return of the Jedi, we find out that Han just died. That was his wish, but that didn't quite happen.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Buckley, do you have any theories going into the Episode 7 of this Star Wars?
Oh, geez.
First off, I'm telling you right now, I hope Han Solo does not die, and I don't think he's going to. Like that, I've heard a bunch of times from a lot of people that Han is going to die, and I hope that doesn't happen, because that would really suck. If it does happen, I would. I'd be bawling. But if it does happen, I want it to happen in Episode 9, because then at least we get 3 movies. If it happens in 9, it's like, shit. Well, okay. But if it happens in this one, then we don't have any Han Solo left for the next 2 movies. Like, oh, man.
Well, I think there's going to be some torch passing that's going to happen no matter what, and that it's going to have to happen.
Oh, so Shia LaBeouf's going to be in this? Good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't see it if that
I'll
happens.
throw his blaster at the very end of the movie, and Shia LaBeouf will catch the blaster and be like, okay, thanks.
Well, he's going to try to pick up the blaster, and then somebody else is going to pick it up and say, "Hey, kid, it's not yours yet."
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I've actually tried to stay away from a lot of the theories, and just I want to go into it myself very fresh, with no expectations. I want to see what happens. I don't want to theorize and be disappointed in any aspect whatsoever. I want to watch it, and I want to soak it in for what it is. I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to be like theorizing and then get it wrong. I want it to be new to me 100%.
Well, that's actually really smart. Then you have no expectations, low or high, regardless.
That's true.
The Schwartz, Ryan the Schwartz, may be with you. Do you have any ideas? I'm sure you got tons of fan fictions written down.
Right. I'm thinking I got a couple things. One, I don't think Rey is a Skywalker or a Solo or anything that a lot of people are thinking that she is. Two, I don't think Luke is evil. A lot of people are saying that Luke is evil. I can't see him being evil. I think he's just become so powerful that he can't control it. And 3, I'm in agreement. I think Han's gonna possibly die.
Have you watched Return of the Jedi recently? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
I think Luke is very much on the way to, and I like what you said about being like out of control and not being able to control the dark side or the light side, but I think that he is very much on the way to being a part of the dark side, just in the way that he behaves in most of the whole first half of Return of the Jedi. He threatens people's lives. He tries to gamble with people, saying they need to make a deal with him or die or he will be destroyed. Things like that, and he's always dressed in dark. It's very interesting, and he tries to persuade people or trick people, especially like the Ewoks. He's trying to tell C-3PO to lie to them. It was like he's becoming pretty evil.
Yes, but I think that he realizes that and probably puts himself in self-exile, per se. Yeah. Puts himself out to wherever because he realizes he's becoming so powerful that he could become the next Emperor, Darth Vader. And then we have the whole Dark Empire series from Dark Horse Comics happening, or
that's true.
What one big thing is that he doesn't have someone to be a mentor to him like the old Jedi. Yoda was very powerful, but he still had people around him who he could consult with. And we don't know if there's Force ghosts still around to help him out, like Qui-Gon with Obi-Wan and learning how to become a Force ghost. So I'm really thinking that he's not going to become evil, at least as we think of it as turning to the dark side. Maybe more of a gray.
I think one thing, though, that I've always noticed in any of the Star Wars movies is their garb tends to dominate their attitude as far as I've seen, because the lighter Jedi that were on the path of being lighter Jedi have always had like lighter, more neutral colored clothing, but as they've been more towards the path of the dark side, or even struggling with that fact, it's always been black, and they've pushed it and worn it, and it's just always something that's been interesting to me.
Well, that was a recurring theme in Return of the Jedi, too, like how Josh had mentioned that Luke was on the path of the dark side. You know, he was threatening people and dealing in absolutes, do this or die, or, you know, force the Ewoks to do this, or I will do it myself. But that underlying theme was sort of broke open in the end, because Luke was wearing pitch black for most of that movie, right? He had just a full black garb. But in the end, when he was fighting Vader and Palpatine at the same time, he wasn't really fighting Palpatine at all. But Luke's garb became, instead of tight, it started becoming more loose. And as it became loose, it sort of folded away and revealed there was a white interior to the black costume, which was sort of an underlying theme to me that Luke was struggling with the dark side. But just like he saw in his dad, in Anakin, that he had good, he has good. And he has Obi-Wan and he has Yoda as a mentor for him that he can commune with to sort of help him get through things. But he also has his own training. And I think at the end, when that white was revealed on his tunic, or whatever garb you want to call it, I think that sort of rationalizes the struggle that he had and where he was going with it.
Do you have a white tunic underneath your black muscle shirt?
My skin's pretty white. Does that count? Like it's
actually, I think it does.
Super white.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's yeah. But I'm all asshole, so I mean, don't think there's any good there.
Bo, I think it's interesting that you brought up Anakin there, because I think that the journeys of Anakin and Luke, I mean, obviously Lucas kind of wrote this on purpose, but the journeys of the both of them are very, very, very similar.
Yes.
Except that where Anakin has this huge anchor point of his quote-unquote love for Padme, and this absolute desire to keep her around when he thinks that she's going to be lost. Luke really doesn't. He has his friends, he has his family, but he doesn't have that. He just has this idea that he wants to try to save his father, and he doesn't. And he's actually more motivated to hang on to the good in him than to try to turn to another power source. But the common thread between the two of them is that they were both raised in an environment that is not, or that was not, typical of any real common Jedi. Like the prototypical Jedi, the Obi-Wan Kenobis, the Yodas, they're taken away, at like a very young age, and they are raised to see the world in a certain light, and they're raised to use the Force in a certain way, so that they can avoid the emotion and they can avoid the feelings of the Force that can wind up, whether you know it or not, turning you to the path of the dark side, in the sense that you may wind up calling upon your emotions to use the Force a little too often. That being said, I think that when you see Anakin and then you see Luke, the ways that what makes them better than other Jedi is the fact that they have this perspective on life, that they were raised. Anakin's a literal slave, one of the worst positions that you can be in as a human being. And even though he was a small child when he was freed, he's seen real evil. And I think the same can definitely be said for Luke. Maybe not complete evil, but I mean, Luke was willing to join the Imperial Academy to get out of Tatooine. He has a perspective on life that's way, way different than most Jedi. Mm-hmm. So I think that when you apply that to how they use the Force and how Luke is maybe going to teach others to use the Force, I think that the Jedi, quote unquote, as we have known them, are completely dead. And I think that whatever the Jedi have become or will become is going to wind up being completely different from what we've seen.
Here's what I'm curious too is Leia. I mean, we know she's Force sensitive, right? Because she's the sister of Luke. Is she going to have any Force powers in the new movie?
Well, do we want to, like, not Schwartzman, but the other Ryan. How much, like, have you even read any interviews with cast or anything?
Me?
No, I was talking to because I know that one of them it wasn't Schwartzman's the other Ryan.
No, I have not.
Okay, so do you want us to bring those interviews up? Do you consider those spoilers?
I would not. No.
You would not. Okay, then.
I would not consider them spoilers. Not. Yeah.
J.J. Abrams was asked point blank if Leia uses the Force in the movie, or if Leia is a Jedi in the movie, and he said she definitely that we do see that she is definitely strong in the Force, but she chose to become a general. She chose not to follow the path of the Jedi.
Okay. Probably uses her Force powers more for on the battlefield and directing people, and the Emperor did that kind of too. The Imperial forces kind of lost morale, and once he died on the second Death Star, the Imperial forces just crumbled. And maybe it's something like that where she, even if she doesn't realize she's doing it, she gives them a morale boost, and they feel just more empowered to be able to do better on the battlefield.
Sure.
It's possible.
Sure, whatever.
That's interesting. I did not hear the interview, though. Thank you for sharing that. I was unaware. But I would assume that she would have some type of ability, maybe show it. So
could always be just a way to like try to throw people off as well, or just try to blow off an answer like that just by saying whatever.
One of my favorite theories I heard, and I don't believe it, but it's funny that there's some people speculating that Finn is Lando's son, and it's just it's like I guess there's only one black family in the universe of Star Wars, just assuming that they're got to be related because they're both black. It's just
or
hilarious.
Better yet, I've seen the Mace Windu theories too, and that's
yeah.
Whoa. That's stretching.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if Han is necessarily going to die. I think maybe Chewbacca could possibly die. I think he's one of the characters because Peter Mayhew is like getting way up there in age, and he can barely walk. He walks with a cane as it is. So this could be a good way for him to kind of maybe not continue in the story. Who knows? I mean, I guess they could always get another 7-foot guy to do it. Just wouldn't be the same. I don't know. It's interesting. I do think someone significant is going to die in the movie, and I think Kylo Ren is somehow related to Darth Vader. I'm not sure how. Like maybe a son of Luke or a son of Han, but I feel because why else would he say in the trailer, "I'm going to finish what you started," and he's looking at Darth Vader's helmet. Like he's got a close connection with Darth Vader, right?
Well, so he might not have be a family member, but one of my other theories is that there's sort of and it's not really expanding, but I think that the mentor of Palpatine might be an aspect of this film with Andy Serkis's character.
I don't even think. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
And I think that with Serkis's character being that of Darth Plagueis, if that is what it would turn out to be, Plagueis was able to manipulate the Force, right? He created Anakin. He created Anakin from nothing.
Whoa. What? Is that... I don't think that's real.
No?
I don't think that's canon. So yeah, I don't think that's real.
It's a theory.
It's a theory, sure.
So
that's what we're talking about. We're doing theories, Zach. You don't have to sit here and like.
All right. That's out there.
You threw off his train of thought. You threw off everything. I'm going to put you on mute, Zach.
I'm sorry. It's my bad. I'm sorry. We'll continue. No. Now I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued.
I think that Kylo has come about in sort of the same way through Plagueis' manipulation of midichlorians, the foster life. And that's the connection that Kylo feels to Vader because they were both, without fathers, conceived literally by the Force itself. In theory,
saying that Kylo Ren was born like from a virgin birth, like Anakin was, or born like without a father, or whatever, right? So
if Plagueis is involved, I think that could really be a thing.
That's interesting. That could possibly be it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even necessarily think Kylo Ren is a Sith. You look at his lightsaber; it seems like it's unpolished. I think he might just be some rogue guy who's out for revenge. Who's got Force powers, but I don't know if he's necessarily been trained. Because don't they say Sith coming too?
Yes, that's what they've always said.
So who's the other bad guy?
So if Circus's character is Plagueis, I mean, he could be behind the scenes controlling all of this, and Kylo is number one.
I personally hope that Snoke, that's the name that they're using anyway, for Andy Serkis's character. I personally hope that he is not Darth Plagueis, because I think it would be far more interesting to see more of an unguided dark side faction, not something so hardlined into what we've seen. Like the Sith. We know who the Sith are, and we know their tactics, and we know what it winds up becoming, and we know that they lose. Sometimes they may get the upper hand, but they always lose in the end.
But, I mean, even from the previews, doesn't it seem like that's kind of what they are once again? I mean, maybe a little bit more warlike, but...
Well, I kind of equate it to this. I mean, for example, this is a strange analogy, but a football team. When you have a team like the Green Bay Packers, they've had the same logo, the same uniform for years and years and years and years. And it's different people, it's different head coaches, it's different philosophies. But they all use the same iconography because it brings back memories of something. So I think that the First Order may not they may not be directly related to the Empire, and I suppose we'll see exactly how it all goes down, but they may not be directly related to the Empire, but they simply kept that image of these clean, white stormtroopers, who are deadly and dangerous, because that's the image for years, for decades, that the Empire used to control the galaxy. So
Okay.
This is what they want to use too.
But even in Episode 7, was the Empire truly defeated?
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Oh, not at all. I mean,
Exactly.
one of
So
their
that's
battle
what I was
stations
going
was
at,
taken
but-
out.
if they didn't lose entirely, why would they redo their tactics, is what I was thinking. If they suffered a minor defeat with the Death Star, wouldn't they try and reuse tactics that had worked for a very long time?
I mean, I wouldn't call it a minor defeat.
There's kind of two different things here too. We're
Yeah.
talking about we're talking about the Empire, we're talking about the Sith, and so far they've kind of come hand in hand, but it could not necessarily be the case. There maybe the Empire's still around, maybe there's like a leader. It could be Captain Phasma. I don't know who the leader might be, but maybe the Sith or Kylo Ren might be. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe he's separate from the Empire. Maybe he's doing his own thing. I don't know. So.
Well, that is awesome. I love hearing all this. Honestly, 90% of what you guys were saying was education to me, because I'm kind of taking the same position that Ryan was. I didn't necessarily come up with a lot of my own hopes and wishes that I was going to see from this movie. I just kind of, hearing what I hear. And honestly, the only thing I really have, and it's not necessarily a theory, it's more of a question, and that is, if Kylo Ren is a Sith, quote unquote, I want to know, and I'm looking forward to finding out, is who is the master, or if he's the master, who is the
Right.
apprentice.
That's right.
Well, he can't be a master. He can't. If he's a fanatic and he's going around and collecting all these Sith artifacts, and he's trying to do Sith things, and he's just not that great with it at all, then, I mean, you can tell he's not that great. Look at his lightsaber. Like John pointed out, it's unrefined. It's jagged, and it inspires fear in people, but it's unrefined. I mean, if you look at Dooku's lightsaber, you look at Vader's lightsaber, they're refined, their blades are, pristine.
It doesn't seem like he knew how to make it. It seems like he kind of made it and had a little bit of an idea, but then decided, oh well, I've got to have an extra power source here because I can't figure out how to make it work. And here's my lightsaber.
He's playing with Legos, right? I mean, it could be.
Holocron or something. I mean, if you want to go in a little deeper, an old holocron, and now he's just following that. Maybe he's not a Sith per se, but he's using Sith knowledge and being more of just a Jedi off of one of Luke's, little groups that he probably tried to train of Jedi users or something after.
So like maybe he has enough of the Force in him where he can actually create that type of thing in a very basic sense and can use it to further his own goal.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but holocrons don't really present themselves or open themselves up for people to view unless they're a Force sensitive, right?
I think so, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, as Ezra had to use the Force to open the only one we've really seen in canon, so yeah.
So, I mean, if Kylo stumbled upon one of these, because Kylo Ren is actually part of a group of people called the Knights of Ren. So
Right.
is Kylo actually, and that's not a spoiler, that's been out there for a while.
This is blowing my mind.
So, if he's part of the Knights of Ren, what is Ren? Who is Ren? Is it a person? Is it an ideology? Is it a following? Like, what is it? Nobody knows right now.
Right. Hopefully
but-
that movie that'd be nice.
What was that? Sorry, you cut out.
Oh, I said hopefully that's explained in the movie because that would be really nice. Because I don't know anything about the Knights of Ren. That just sounds like some weird dance group or something.
Well, if you noticed in one of the teaser trailers, it shows Kylo with his sabers, with his lightsaber, with a group of people around him. They're standing in the rain, and they all have similar garb to Kylo. If you look really, really close at that, you can see Kylo has other lightsabers on his belt. Like he's collecting these things. So
Seriously?
whether they are artifacts that he's found, or other Jedi, or just Force-sensitive people that have made their own sabers that he has located and killed, like, I mean, that all leads credence to this fanatic of the dark side going and finding these Sith artifacts, or any sort of Force-sensitive artifacts that he can. Maybe just the Sith ones are calling stronger, or calling to him more. But he formed these Knights of Ren. Or the Knights of Ren are just Sith fanatics who are going around trying to find more of it to grow their ranks to maybe eventually bring the Sith back.
Well, but doesn't that make a lot of sense? Because the dark
Makes
side is
perfect sense.
basically
I came up with it.
Cute.
I try. I do.
All right, I'm done. Yep.
I have a feeling that this movie is going to be extremely dark. In fact, I think it's probably going to be the darkest of the films, including Empire Strikes Back. And one thing J.J. Abrams has done, with the Star Trek movies, he does a lot of parallelisms with the classic movies, right? So we saw the most recent Star Trek movie. There's a lot of parallelisms with the Wrath of Khan, right? A lot of symbolisms. And I feel like in this movie, he's going to throw in some things that we're going to recognize and see that are going to be kind of thrown back to the original trilogy, possibly.
Well,
I
I
don't
think
know.
one of his taglines that everything old is new again, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there's
I agree with that completely. That Star Wars is a better area to do stuff like that than Star Trek. Star Trek was a little like, oh great, we had the motion picture, which was actually better. It was better. I like the motion picture.
I love the motion picture.
Yeah.
But then Wrath of Khan just redone. Yeah. But J.J. Abrams did and makes sense. It makes sense to redo it. I always said, watching those two films, I knew J.J. will do well with Star Wars. I have no doubts about that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we've danced around the theories concept. We're talking about the all of our ideas, what we hope to see, what we're thinking, predicting. How about we jump into a little bit of the actual video gaming part, or just gaming in general? Since we're talking on the Game Hump this Wednesday. Excuse me. What are some of your favorite Star Wars video games? And we'll start with Zach.
Oh wow.
If any.
Oh, that's funny. No, there's a lot of. I think Star Wars is as intrinsically linked to video games as it is movies. I think a lot of really great Star Wars games have kind of opened the door for a lot of different ideas, and I think that if you're talking about great Star Wars games, you can't not mention Knights of the Old Republic, which, granted, is not a modern era Star Wars game or whatever. It doesn't feature any of the movie characters, and you could argue that it isn't even really a true Star Wars game because, it's so far back that could have been anything, that could have been anyone. But I think that I think it's just incredible the way that they use the iconography and the way that they did the storytelling to kind of twist it and really make you question a lot of things about both ideologies of the Jedi and the Sith.
Yeah, I agree. Knights of the Old Republic is one of my favorite, absolute awesome games. Hey, John, what are some games other than Battlefront? What are some things that you're into?
Well, the new Battlefront's okay. I'm a little disappointed in it, to be honest with you, just in the sense that I feel like I paid for half a game.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish there was more of a campaign aspect of it, but it's beautifully done graphically and audio wise. But Star Wars is awesome genre for gaming because pretty much every genre of gaming has been done for Star Wars, right? There's even a Star Wars chess back in the day. I mean, it's crazy. So probably some of my favorite Star Wars games, I would agree. Knights of the Old Republic is definitely up there. Battlefront 2 is up there. I love the Super Star Wars trilogy on Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Like all those games are super hard, but a lot of fun. PC side of things, you have like X-Wing and TIE Fighter versus X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and those are really fun games. Rebel Assault. I mean, I could go on and on. What are some other ones? Dark Forces is a great first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a first-person shooter where you actually could jump too, which is kind of interesting. You couldn't jump in other games before that.
That's awesome.
Actually, this is not really a video game, but I'm a huge fan of like Star Wars Pinball. I just picked up a Star Wars Pinball the other day, Data East one, but I really liked the Episode 1 as well because I don't know if you guys have played the pinball for that, but it's almost like a video game and pinball in one. It's got like the monitor reflection, and
that is awesome.
That's really cool. I'd love to get my hands on that someday, but man, there's a lot.
You actually picked up an upright pinball machine for Star Wars?
Yeah, the Data East one from '92.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
I saw it on Craigslist, and and it was a good deal. I'm like, oh man, I gotta get this. So, and it plays great. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Ryan, what are some games that you play in the Star Wars realm? Ryan Schwartzman, are you there, buddy?
Oh, hey, I couldn't hear you for a little bit. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. No problem. I was just asking, what are some of your favorite Star Wars video games or games in general?
Okay. My favorite Star Wars video game is for the PC, and it's probably one that most of you haven't played. It's called Rebellion. Anyone hear of it?
I remember that one.
No, it's a world conquering game, and you can play Empire or you can play Rebel Alliance, and you build fleets, and you can control the fleets as they attack each other. It's just a wonderful game that I think got overlooked, and I spent many of the hours just playing that game. Come home from work and lost most of my nights. Yeah, it's one of those games because you get there and you're like, okay, I only have 6 hours and this thing will be built, and
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Some of my favorite Star Wars memories in gaming has to be actually back in high school, Ryan, when we used to do the Star Wars role-playing game by West End Games. Was it West End?
Yeah, it was West End Games, the D6. Yeah.
Yep. That was a lot of fun. We played that. Lot of late nights on Tuesday nights at the Pitchelman farm.
Yep. Oh yeah. And Jay Johnston being the one running things, and all of a sudden we have 6 super Death Stars, which were like Dyson spheres. And we had, I think there was like 300 super Star Destroyers per whatever. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was pretty spectacular. That and actually one of my favorite things in the Star Wars universe that was gaming related was Decipher's Star Wars the collectible card game.
I really enjoyed that too. I like the Star Trek one too. It was a lot of fun.
Star Trek was really good, and Star Wars was excellent. It was so good. And it's a shame that I don't know what happened to Decipher, but they, I don't know. They tried a few different things with some random things, and
they were in. I think the lead, like the CEO, was got arrested for a scam. Like they were, like taking money and stuff. Like it was bad. So.
Oh, that sucks. That's not good.
Yeah, laundering money.
We're talking about like our favorite gaming moments in general with like the Star Wars universe.
Yep.
So my mind was blown with Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah.
For
The
Nintendo
movie
64.
without the movie.
Yes, yeah. So, it was my first sort of foray into sort of like the expanded universe style of things in the Star Wars. It first like kind of really exposed me to that.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that there was a whole nother world of characters out there that intertwined with the main Star Wars characters was just phenomenal. Knowing that like these people were doing things when the actual events of Empire Strikes Back was happening. And then I found books, and so my favorite was Shadows of the Empire because that really showed me another side of the Star Wars universe that wasn't so glorious at all, but really kind of detailed probably what Han Solo was before he became sort of a war hero for the rebellion. That and there's a minis game for Star Wars that Mr. Schwartzman introduced me to quite a while ago. That was just fantastic. Okay, cool.
I love the
that one of
artwork. I love
those-
the design of those too. Really highly detailed.
Yeah, like the minifigs and
Yeah.
stuff are amazing. And so, Schwartzman, I came down once, or came up to Merrill once in the summer, and you guys made this custom board. I think it was the Death Star run.
Oh,
But it
yeah.
was like,
Yep.
it was like a custom one that you guys had made, right?
Yep. We made the Death Star. It's to scale for X-wing. Yeah, it's an amazing board. We still have it. Actually, it'll be down. Adam Netzler is having a Star Wars thing at the bar in Cedar Creek, and it'll actually be there tomorrow night for his little Star Wars jaunt.
And that's
Oh,
in
that's
Wausau, Wausau, Wisconsin.
I was going to stop by the bar actually with my date after the movie so we could get some drinks and food. So if Netzler is there and has that set up, it's going to be perfect.
Yeah, it'll be there. Will Clutie, a member of the game club, grabbed it yesterday, and he's going to be dropping it off there tomorrow for whoever to run it. I'm doing trivia at the Cosmo Theater in Merrill, so.
Cool.
Hey, I got a quick question for each one of you guys. Which is your favorite Star Wars movie? Period. And we'll start with John.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, start with me. I'd say the Ewok movies. No, I don't know. I should say holiday special. No.
Yes.
You guys should watch it now because it's the holidays and all, right? Anyone who sees Star Wars should watch the holidays.
We actually did
Giggles.
watch it. It was pretty painful.
It's pretty painful, yeah. But no, seriously, for real, like probably my favorite one's probably Empire Strikes Back. It's probably my favorite one.
Empire's a good choice. I think that's mine as well.
Empire Strikes Back, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What key things about Empire Strikes Back make it your favorite?
I like it's just dark. I like it. It's not necessarily the good guys beat the bad guys. We discover that Darth Vader's Luke's father. A big plot twist there.
Holy shit! What?
Yeah.
Whoa!
I know,
Spoilers!
spoiler alert.
Oh no!
No, but it's really well done. I mean, the whole Hoth scene in the very beginning is awesome, and the fact that they did that in a blue screen with all the white, it still looks pretty decent. Incredible special effects for 1980. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think Empire is my favorite as well, just because the way that the dialogue is done, the way that the scenes are done. I think the cuts, not the cutscenes, but the cuts from like one shot to the next is far more polished than it was in the original Star Wars. The original Star Wars is amazing and it's perfect and everything, and it also doesn't have that over-the-top kind of cheese factor that Return of the Jedi had in certain spots.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think Empire was, it is dark for sure, but it's actually in my opinion, the movie that has the best presentation.
Would anybody disagree if I said that the special effects from the original Star Wars to, the original trilogy, I think every single one of those special effects before the remastered digital edition looks better than a lot of shit that is done on the Sci-Fi Channel in this day and age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Agreed.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
agree.
I never ever had an issue with like the special editions or whatever, mainly because I like Blu-rays, so like I just kind of have to deal with it. That's how I prefer to watch the movies. So you know, when he went back and he touched some things up, and it doesn't affect my enjoyment of the film, especially since my favorite is also Empire, and there's almost nothing done to that one, really.
Yeah, Empire was pretty much left untouched. There were a few things that, cause I just watched 3, 4, 5, and 6 just this past weekend. Actually, I think I watched them all on Sunday. Yeah, Empire Strikes Back was the least altered of the films. There were a few. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't want to get too far away before we, like, because I also wanted to just touch on the reason why Empire is my favorite, because it seems like to be the general consensus that that's the favorite here. For me, it's like the music between the notes. Like, sure, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens, but I think that Empire Strikes Back is the movie that gets the characters right the most, in the sense that I believe that the actions that they take in The Empire Strikes Back are what they would do, are the natural progression of what those characters would be and what they could be. Apart from Luke in Return of the Jedi, I feel like that movie just doesn't have a lot of growth for anyone else. That's Luke's movie, and the rest of it is just kind of like, oh, well, hey, Han's just a cool, good guy now. He learned from his evil ways, or is, you know, whatever. No, I mean, I don't think it might not go that way. He might not feel that way, and hopefully we get a little bit more of that scoundrel back in 7. But yeah, and I think that Empire was just the best natural progression movie, and that's why it always remains my favorite.
You know, Zach, I have to disagree with you on one point you made. You said you don't have an issue with the special editions and the special effects and stuff
Sure.
like that. I have to respectfully disagree in one regard. I mean, certainly they're great movies with the special effects, but it's like Da Vinci going back to the Mona Lisa, an art masterpiece, and years later, like, paint over it, and like, you don't see that with other artists. Leave it as is, and that's how it should be.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think that it was, talking about touching up scenes. Empire was molested the least of those three.
Yeah.
But with what he did to Return of the Jedi with the musical numbers and adding in all sorts of ridiculous CG in the background and things, it was a mess in my opinion. I did enjoy going to see them all in theaters before Episode 1 came out. That was a lot of fun to see them all. But afterwards, I was feeling kind of like that was a lot of unnecessary weirdness.
Jabba the Hutt and New Hope, is that necessary to add that? Have you guys seen the rough cut video of Jabba the Hutt scene, that, like, the original film?
Just some fat guy in a kilt, isn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, some fat guy in a kilt. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
So I just wanted a quick jump in here too. I'm just trying to keep up with the Twitter. We got the tweetings going on. Someone tweeted us. His name's Corey. He said that his favorite video game in the Atari for the Star Wars universe was actually Atari's Empire Strikes Back, the one that played like Defender, sort of like.
Oh, sure.
He also said that he thinks that Ryan Schwartzman is the coolest of this group.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but. Okay, so hey, just one last thing I wanted to touch on, and that's something we have hardly even mentioned at all on the show so far, and that is, well, the bittersweet, the prequels. Have any of the prequels, do they have any redeeming factors, or was there anything that has aged like specifically well in any of those prequels? Now that we're 16 years since the original Episode 1 had come out, what are your feelings now on those the prequels, Star Wars Episodes 1, 2, and 3?
I mean, again, I was 7 years old when Episode 1 hit, so I was the perfect age, I guess you could say, to really get into those movies.
You were the key demographic.
I was the key demographic in many ways, and I I loved the movies when they came out because I wasn't thinking about them in the same way. I mean, I did just I rewatched episode 1 recently. I didn't make it to the other 2 because I didn't feel like they were super important. I just kind of wanted to get the flavor because I hadn't seen episode 1 in a long time.
Sure.
And I think that the criticisms levied at it are definitely, pretty heavy. But I think that Qui-Gon Jinn himself is a very intriguing Jedi character, and I think you can see how he rubbed off on Obi-Wan a lot in his behavior and his mannerisms, and it's just the prequels as a whole. Sure, they really aren't all that essential to understanding the complete and full story that they're trying to tell in The Force Awakens, I think. So I've been telling people who are like newer, I've been saying, hey, you don't just watch 4, 5, and 6. You don't have to watch the prequels unless you really, really want to get into it. But I think that the prequel era fleshed out a lot of Star Wars. That a lot of the things that we think about when we think of Star Wars really became real in a way with the prequels. So if without them, it would be a very, very different tale.
Well, did you say flushed out Star Wars?
I said fleshed out.
Okay.
Flashed.
I don't mind the prequels as much as a lot of other people do. I mean, I take it for what they are, and I mean, Darth Maul is like still one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I like some of the lightsaber scenes in some of the prequels are really impressive. The pod racing scene. Episode 1 wasn't. I mean, take away Jar Jar, of course, but you have to look around that. But it wasn't that bad of a movie. I think I saw it in theaters like probably a dozen times when it came out in '99. So.
I have a little story, a little anecdote here. I went to see Attack of the Clones with Ryan Schwartzman, and after we saw Yoda grab his lightsaber and fight Count Dooku, and then the credits had rolled, Ryan said to me that was the best Star Wars movie he's seen since Empire Strikes Back. Now, and I know that feeling when you're seeing all that stuff happen and your brain's just finally processing all that stuff for the first time and you're seeing it for the first time and you're like, wow, that was amazing. And then you go a week later and see it, or a couple days later and you go to see it again and you're like, wow, that was pretty good. Years later go by and you watch it every once in a while. It's like, oh, it's on TBS. Let's watch Star Wars. Wow, I can't believe I liked this. Kind of like that kind of feeling. Ryan, do you still feel that Attack of the Clones is the best movie of the Star Wars universe since Empire Strikes Back?
Maybe not the movie as a whole, but I definitely like the lightsaber scenes. But I could say that about any of the prequels, because really, when we're watching the prequels and we're watching the lightsaber scenes, we're seeing people who have been trained by masters, or masters being trained by masters, and knights who have been trained by masters fighting Siths who have been trained by their masters for generations, and we're seeing a much more polished lightsaber battles, and I take those into effect. Maybe Attack of the Clones is not the best since it. I might go back and say that actually Return of the Jedi is my second favorite one, but I enjoyed the prequels, just to bring that up, more than probably most people. There's things that I don't like. I didn't care for Jar Jar Binks, but who really does? So, but no, I'll take back my words on that. But I think it's just I agree with you. It was just seeing those for the first time. I think that we're better off in the Star Wars universe for having the prequels than for not having them.
Yep.
Plus, we got lots more of John Williams music, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah, we got the Corn on the Cob song. I love that one.
Yeah, right.
Corn on the cob. Good. Nobody else hears Corn on the Cob. Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter.
I loved the time that was spent to go standing in line, going to see the movies, seeing the Star Wars logo and everything again. But yeah, I personally don't know if those movies have aged as well. The more I've seen them, and I'm worried a little bit that this movie that we're about to see is going to come off initially like, this is amazing, like these special effects are so great, and then things are going to happen and a few years will go by and it'll be like, I can't imagine these being looked at in the same light as the prequels, but I'm a little worried about that because, well, we've already lived through it once, so it's kind of, I don't know, nerve-wracking.
And I want off of that note, I actually already have a complaint about this movie before even seeing it. I hate the name Captain Phasma. Absolutely hate that name. I want to like.
Who's Captain Phasma?
That's the chrome-plated stormtrooper played by the Chicky Poo from Game of Thrones.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Gwendolyn Christie's character.
Yeah, you can remember the name, Zach. It's the Chicky Poo from Game of Thrones.
Yes, that's her name.
But I absolutely hate that name. I just it doesn't roll off the tongue well. It doesn't sound decent. Even General Hux, at least it makes sense. But Captain Phasma, I'm thinking, I don't know.
And you like Dooku?
I don't mind Dooku. Count Dooku. That sounds about right.
You've had 13 years to process Count Dooku. At first, when I heard Count Dooku, I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
Well, that's not as bad as his actual Sith name.
Right. Yeah.
Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah.
And then you've got
who calls him that? None of me.
Sidious Tyrannus. There's Savage Opress, Darth Maul's brother. You've got Darth Maul. Like, I'm gonna maul you. It just. The Star Wars names have never been super creative for the villains, so I'm not. Honestly, I'm surprised we get something as neutral as Kylo Ren.
Mm-hmm.
If he's the villain of the story. Maybe he's not the villain of the story.
All right, Bo, what are your feelings on the prequels now that it's 2015?
I enjoyed the style of the first few films, but I don't think they really showed the progression or portrayed the struggle that Anakin Skywalker had on his path to the dark side.
Yeah.
Or on his path to trying to do what was right from the Jedi's point of view. So that's a recurring theme in the Star Wars universe too, right? Point of view. Everything is, based on a certain point of view. So the Jedi think that they're good, and that they're doing good work. The Sith think that they're good, and they're doing good work, because they go off their gut feeling. The Jedi go off of what's morally right, black and white, nothing else. But I don't think that whole struggle in the first three was really portrayed all that accurately. That being said, I like Episode 3 probably the most out of the prequels, because I liked seeing that final transition of Anakin becoming Darth Vader, and what he did as Darth Vader, how uncontrollable he became, and how uncontrollable his powers were to him.
Yep.
But I've had conversations with Mr. Ryan B. of the book of Episode 3. Just how accurately the book portrays that internal struggle that he has. But as far as standing the test of time, I think it's when you go back and watch Episode 1 again, everybody loves Duel of the Fates. Everybody loves seeing Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan team up on Darth Maul. But other than that, there are in my opinion, few redeeming qualities to those movies. At least in that regard. I think they're okay, but will never ever hold a light to 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
I think that if I were to rank them, with 4, 5, and 6 being in the picture, they would be probably above. Well, they would be above the holiday special, but below the animated Clone Wars, and probably still below Star Wars Rebels that's on the Disney Channel right now.
It's a great show. Both of those shows are awesome. But I think as far as the prequels go, and this is my last note on them, I think the prequels are evidence that George Lucas was, and probably still is, a fantastic storyteller. He has a very clear idea of the messages that he wants to get across, of the lessons that he wants to teach and that he wants to show through his films. And when he runs those lessons and those ideas through other creative sources, they wind up turning into something magical. Empire Strikes Back would not have been as good as it was were it not for Irvin Kershner and his direction of the cast and getting those performances out of them. Even Return of the Jedi had, other people to bounce off of, and other ideas thrown in the mix to kind of to keep things different. But when you had pretty much a long time of people sort of falling away from Star Wars, and then suddenly George wants to make 3 more movies, and he's got a bunch of yes men around him. And that's kind of what one of those movies became. He had a good. I think his ideas were sound, and I think that the tale that the prequels tell of Anakin Skywalker's rise and fall is a compelling tale. It could have been a lot better if he had some other creative forces in play.
Agreed.
Well, off of that though, let's remember it was his story until he sold it to Disney. It doesn't matter what we wanted. It's his story, and we're supposed to, just take it as is because he's the one telling it. I mean, if I'm telling a story and you decide, well, I don't like your story, then you just stop listening, stop going to him. We all had expectations of what should happen, and when he told a different story, I think that's where the prequels fall off. He told a different story than we were expecting. Right from the get-go.
Well,
we didn't expect Jar Jar Binks.
Well, Jar Jar Binks was only really a part of the first movie, so he told the story of Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, I don't think
that wasn't everything. Most of the complaints are things that we've heard before.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. I want to let everybody know as well. We're almost out of time, so I want to let everybody know that Ryan Buckley, if you want to give one last note on your thoughts on the prequels, how they've aged and everything.
One quick note: I enjoyed the prequels for what they were. I think everybody liked them for the fact that they were fantastic lightsaber battles, and I think that was most of their redeeming qualities. The story was good. Episode 3, I made the mistake of reading the book first before the movie was released, and I absolutely loved the book because it actually internalized the struggle of Anakin and how he could barely function without the Force, and it was a fantastic book. If you haven't read Episode 3, the book, I would highly recommend it. But the movies themselves, I think everyone loved them for the lightsaber battles because that's what they wanted. And the rest of it was just kind of a more shallow story, in my opinion.
Yep, I absolutely agree. So yes, I am so pleased to have all you guys on the show this week. I thought it was a lot of fun, a lot of Star Wars information. I almost don't even need to go see the movie now. I think I know everything. So
I'll take your tickets. I could find some use for your tickets.
Oh, I'm sure you could. But yes, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for being on the show. I want to give each of you guys 10 more seconds just to kind of say one last thing. My 10 seconds is I hope everyone goes and has fun and watches the new Star Wars movie. I think it's going to be a great time, and I'm excited to talk more about this in the future. Bo, 10 seconds or less.
Empire Strikes Back is my favorite, but Boba Fett will never be dead in my mind. He's always there. He'll always be around.
Gamester 81, 10 seconds or less.
Same thing. I have to agree, man. I mean, I'm going into seeing this movie with high expectations, but not unreachable expectations. So I have an open mind. I think that's key.
Ryan Buckley, 10 seconds or less.
I actually learned a lot from you guys tonight, and I'm excited to see the new movie. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Ryan Schwartzman, 10 seconds or less.
Well, I'm very excited to go see it with a whole bunch of people. I had actually a chance to pre-screen it at the Cosmo today with their digital download. They get to pre-watch them to make sure they're downloaded properly, but I wanted to wait to see it with a crowd, and I'm going to be the first one to say it. May the Force be with all of you, and I can't wait to do this again with you guys.
Woo! All right, Zach Haschenberger, 3 seconds or less.
Yeah, this was a ton of fun.
Okay, thanks for... No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Had a great time. I can't wait to see the movie. I can't wait to celebrate with everybody. And you can listen to me and Joshua all the time on Pro Wrestling Off Topic. Cheap plug. Right here on Podomatic.
I liked it.
God. All right. Thank you guys so much, and may the force be with everyone.
All right, guys.
Enjoy
Take care.
Also with you.
All right.
Take it
Thanks,
easy.
everyone. Hope to see some of you at theater tomorrow.
Later.
Bye.
Goodbye. That's adorable.